And then that experience really kind of developed into the program I have today. And, you know, people, I get asked all the time, like, well, what does being a federal agent have to do with teaching, and how did that develop your teaching career? Well, I'll tell you a little story if you got you got time for just a short story?
We do. I'd love to hear it, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I was a firearms instructor, and when I shortly after I came on, and so we trained police officers, federal agents, and other police officers how to shoot, right? Shooting. And we, this is how we used to train. We used to put a target out at 25 yards, and you'd shoot it 3, 7, 15, 25 yards. When the whistle blew, you would draw your gun and shoot, right? And a certain number of shots at a certain amount of time, you got time. And you'd work your way back to 25. Well, in the late 80s, we realized how many, we were losing shootouts to the bad guys. I mean, every time we got in a shootout, we were losing officers. I mean, this is local, state, and federal. And the bad guys were killing us in shootouts. So I got to be part of this team that went around, and we interviewed bad guys who had shot police officers who were in jail if they would talk to us, and most would because they wanted to brag. Then we'd interview the officers. And this is what we found. We would ask the officers if they survived, why didn't you shoot first? Why did you wait to get shot? And they would always say this, I didn't hear the whistle. And when we trained, you never shot, you never drew until you heard the whistle, because the whistle kind of indicated the target's there, it's turning, you draw and shoot. Mm-hmm. I never heard the whistle. And when we asked the bad guys, they would say, well, he was easy. He just stood there and never went for his gun, and I wasn't going back to prison. And he was an easy target. He just stood. He didn't run for cover, didn't die.
Wow.
He just stood there and kind of froze it. So we started changing the way we train. And we went from stand on line to hearing the whistle to doing more with simulations training, and we actually got to the point where we hired role players and actors, and we set up live situations. You know, those simulation guns where you get shot and it leaves paintballs type stuff. But we're using our own service revolvers with weapons for that. So and then when we didn't have role players and actors, we would instead of listen for the whistle, we got targets that would flip, and as soon as they flipped, you had to run, shoot, dive for cover. We never stood and shot anymore, and that changed the whole game, right? I mean, we started winning shootouts. Well, how does that relate to golf? Well, I learned that if you're training for golf, you have to train like it's a real thing. And you have to have consequences, because in tournament play, you hit a bad shot, right? There's a consequence. So you have to train like it's a real thing, like it's a real tournament. You can't just stand there and go to the range and put out 80 balls and just hit them willy-nilly. You have to do performance practice. There has to be consequences. You have to set goals. So I took that philosophy of firearms training and how we won shootouts into my golf training.
You have taken in the urgency of the moment. Simulation is not perfect. Johnson recounts how officers are trained to take a gun from an assailant at close quarters, a maneuver they practice by role-playing with a fellow officer. It requires speed and deftness, striking an assailant's wrist with one hand to break his grip while simultaneously wrestling the gun free with the other. It's a move that officers have been in the habit of honing through repetition. Taking the gun, handing it back, taking it again, until one of their officers on a call in the field took the gun from an assailant and handed it right back again. In their mutual astonishment, the officer managed to re-seize the gun and hang on to it. The training regime had violated the cardinal rule that you should practice like you play, because you will play like you practice. Sometimes the most powerful feat. The training regime had violated the cardinal rule that you should practice like you play, because you will play like you practice. Sometimes the most powerful feedback for calibrating your sense of what you do and don't know are the mistakes you make in the field, assuming you survive them and are receptive to the lesson.